Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, and apologize, I was running a little behind, that's why I'm starting a little late than usual. Sorry about that. So, this morning we are going to hear lecture from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Cosmic Manifestation, Chapter 5 and text 21. And we're fortunate this morning to have His Grace Vishnugada Prabhu from ISKCON, Philadelphia to give the class. Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we're going to sing Jaya Radha Madhava, and you're encouraged to unmute if you're in a situation where you don't have to worry about people, you're at work or something. So I say you sing Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana.
Jamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jamunatira Vanachari
Yamunatira Vanachari.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari
Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Bhaja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana
Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana
Yamuna Tiravana Chari
Yamunatira Vanachari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtottara Sutashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtottara Sutashi Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai.
Jai
ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai
नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय
Jai
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय
Jai
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय
Jai
वृंदावन धाम की जय
Jai
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय
Jai
गंगा माई की जय
Jai
यमुना माई की जय
Jai
तुलसी देवी की जय
Jai
भक्ति देवी की जय
Jai
समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय
Jai
गौर प्रेम आनंदे
Hari Hari Bol
all glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna
all glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna
all glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna
all glory to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Hari Hari Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shubhate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirbishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Reading, studying, discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 5, text number 21. Kalam karma svabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya atman yadvichaya praptang vibhubhushur upadade. Kalam karma svabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya atman yadvichaya praptam vibhubhushurupadade. Kalam karma svabhavam cha mayesho mayaya svaya atman yadvichaya praptam vibhubhushurupadade. Please chant.
Kalam Kama Swabhavam Cha Vayasu Mayaya Swaya Atman Yadishchaya Praptam Vibhubhushu Upadade Hare Krishna
Kalam karma svabhavacham mayesho mayaya svaya atman yadrischaya praptam Vibhushurupādade. Hare Krishna.
कालं कर्म स्वभावं च मायेषु मायया स्वया आत्मन्यदृच्छया प्राप्तं विबुभूषुरुपापदे हरे कृष्ण
कालं कर्म स्वभावं च मायेषु मायया स्वया आत्मन्यत्रच्छया प्राप्तं विभुभुषुरुपादते हरे कृष्ण
Kalam, eternal time. Karma, the fate of the living entity. Swabhavam, nature. Cha, also. Maya, potency. Isha, the controller. Mayaya, by the energy. Svaya, of his own. Atman, Atmani, unto himself. Yadrichchaya, independently. Praptam, being merged in. Vibhubhushu, appearing differently. Upadade, accepted for being created again. Translation. The Lord, who is the controller of all energies, thus creates by his own potency eternal time. The fate of all living entities and their particular nature for which they were created. And he again merges them independently. Report. The creation of the material world, wherein the conditioned souls are allowed to act subordinately by the Supreme Lord, takes place again and again after being repeatedly annihilated. The material creation is something like a cloud in the unlimited sky. The real sky is the spiritual sky, eternally filled with the rays of the Brahmajyoti. And a portion of this unlimited sky is covered by the Mahatakta cloud of the material creation, in which the conditioned souls who want to lord it against the will of the Lord are put into play as they desire, under the control of the Lord by the agency of his external energy. As the rainy season appears and disappears regularly, the creation takes place and is again annihilated under the control of the Lord, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 19th verse. So, the creation and annihilation of the material worlds is a regular action of the Lord, just to allow the conditioned souls to play as they like, and thereby create their own fate of being differently created again in terms of their independent desires at the time of annihilation. The creation, therefore, takes place at a historical date, as we are accustomed to think of everything which has a beginning in our tiny experience. The process of creation and annihilation is called anadi, or without reference to date regarding the time the creation first took place, because the duration of even a partial creation is 8,640,000,000 years. The law of creation is, however, as mentioned in the Vedic literature, that it is created at certain intervals and is again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The whole material, or even this complete creation, rests on his impersonal feature. Nonetheless, he keeps himself distinct from such creation as the Purnam, or complete. And so no one should wrongly think that his personal feature is not existent due to his impersonal, unlimited expansions. The impersonal expansion is a manifestation of his energy, and he is always in his personal feature despite his innumerable, unlimited expansions of impersonal energies. Bhagavad Gita 9.5 to 7. For human intelligence, it is very difficult to conceive how the whole creation rests on his expansion of energy. But the Lord gives a very good example in the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that although the air and the atoms rest within the huge expansion of the sky, which is like the resting reservoir of everything materially created, still the sky remains separate and unaffected. Similarly, although the Supreme Lord maintains everything created by his expansion of energy, he always remains separate. This is accepted even by Shankaracharya, the great advocate of the impersonal form of the Absolute. He says, Narayana Parovyaktat, or Narayan exists separately apart from the impersonal creative energy. The whole creation thus merges within the body of transcendental Narayan at the time of annihilation, and the creation emanates from his body again with the same unchanging categories of fate and individual nature. The individual living entities, being parts and parcels of the Lord, are sometimes described as Atma, qualitatively one in spiritual constitution. But because such living entities are apt to be attracted to the material creation, actively and subjectively, they are therefore different from the Lord. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadati Shapayandantikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Before speaking, I would like to ask the blessings and permission from all devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age and or advancement in Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So this is an amazing verse and purport. Just to recap, what happened to the verse? Just to recapitulate, there's a discussion between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma being the original created being in this universe, the original learned person, naturally there's some question, well, is he God? He's the original person in this universe. So one might think, oh, he must be God. But Narad Muni asks for clarification, and Lord Brahma tells it like it is. No, he's not the original person of the whole creation, only in this one universe. And it's interesting that this discussion is taking place between Narad Muni and Lord Brahma. Of course, we know Lord Brahma is the creator of this universe, but Narad Muni, born in this creation as appearing as the son of Lord Brahma, he was also existing in a previous Mahakalpa. Perhaps you know. It's described in the 8th canto that Narad Muni was in the company of demigods as a Gandharva. And he was singing. He wanted to sing. The demigods had convened a meeting for glorifying the Lord. But Narad Muni decided that it would be better. He took it upon himself to chant, some material songs to attract the ladies. Does this happen? Does this happen? Yes, yes. And so the demigods cursed him to take birth on the earth as the son of a Shudrani because of his offense. Therefore, one of the offenses in chanting the holy name is to consider Yastu Narayanam Devam Brahmarudrani Daivatai Samatvena Viksheta Sa Pashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. A offender is a person who considers the names of demigods, even big demigods like Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, to be equal to or independent of the names of Lord Vishnu. Some popular singers were asked, well, why don't you sing more Krishna and Ram instead of Shiva and Durga? So the response was, oh, I don't see any difference. There's no difference. A foolish question. Actually, it's not foolish, but that's the attitude mentioned in this one of the offenses that's mentioned in the Puranas. So Narad Muni was actually, that incident I just described happened in a different Mahakalpa. That means it was in a different life of Brahma, a different Brahma. You follow? So this information here that we're being blessed to get is not available by research or trying to figure things out on our own. This is realized knowledge. One of the names of Lord Krishna is Adhokshaja. Have you heard that name before? Adhokshaja?
Yeah.
Yeah. Aksha means eyes, Aksh, and Ja means born from the eyes. So the eyes are the representative of the senses. And Adhokshaja means not being able to be determined or perceived by the mundane material senses. God is not approachable or understandable with the material senses. So if he's not approachable by material senses, how can he be understood? That's how we understand things, by our senses. So that question was answered by the same Lord Brahma in his prayers to Lord Krishna after being caught kidnapping the calves and cowherd boys. He prayed to Lord Krishna, Atapi te deva padabhuja dvayam prasharo leshanu grihita evahi janati tatvam bhagavan mahimno nachanyam ekopi chiram vichinvan. He said, one may go on trying to figure out God with the material senses for millions of years, and he will be unsuccessful. The person who gets just even a drop of mercy from your two lotus feet, Padambuja Dvayam. Dvayam means two, and Padambuja means lotus feet. If you get just a drop of mercy from the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, then you can understand. That's the possibility. That's the method of understanding. And the representative of the two lotus feet of Krishna is the spiritual master. Therefore, he or she is called Vishnupad, the representative of the lotus feet of Krishna. So this information here is mind-blowing, unavailable by mental speculation, figuring it out, or mundane research, experimenting. It's not available. Another verse that's very commonly quoted by Srila Prabhupada about this. Atak Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved grayam indriye sevamurkheti jivado swayam eva sparatyada. That very nice verse says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, and his name, his qualities, his form, cannot be understood by the mundane senses. Na bhavet grayam, the rough, grayam, mundane, blunt senses. Sevun mukhed jivado, but he is understandable by seva. Seva means service. So by serving, then that service will attract Krishna to reveal this wonderful understanding of who the Supreme Personality of God is and how to serve him from within the heart. That's how he's understood. So to mundane approaches, Krishna is adhokshaja. He cannot be understood, but by devotional service, beginning with the tongue, chanting and tasting prasadam, he reveals himself to the sincere devotee who has no other desire but to please him by his or her activities of Krishna consciousness. So this wonderful verse and purport is very inspirational for all of us, for me also. Here it says that he creates things by his own potency as the controller of all energies. This is the person that we chant to when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, the controller of all energies. The Sveta Svetara Upanishad says, Parasya Shaktir Vivedai Vishuyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bhala Kriya Cha. The Lord has multifold, multifarious energies. And by his will, just by his interest, his intention, things are taking place. He doesn't have to toil like Atlas in maintaining the world is seen to be sweating and taking great effort to hold the world on his shoulders. But Lord Krishna, this is a misunderstanding of the attitude. Of course, he's not God. But God, Krishna, is so great that simply by his wish, everything is taking place. He doesn't have to labor very hard. This is the Supreme Personality of Godhead that we are worshiping when we're chanting the holy name and offering prayers and bowing down and offering prasadam. Parasya Shakti Vividai Vishuyate. So there's generally, it's these energies are divided, the energies of the Lord are divided into three. You know those three? Anybody?
Internal, external, and marginal.
Yes, very good, very good. Internal is called Antiranga Shakti. External is called Bahiranga Shakti. And marginal is called what?
Tatastha.
Tatastha Shakti, also sometimes called Jiva Shakti. The Antaranga Shakti is sometimes called Chit Shakti. But these are the general categories. But we should also know that in each of these categories, they can be broken down to others. For example, in the mundane, the material, Bahiranga Shakti, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumir apo nalo vayu kammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti. There's all these different varieties of material Shaktis. And also, in the spiritual Antaranga Shakti, we know that there's different potencies and energies there as well. For example, he's got a Shakti called Kriya Shakti. Kriya Shakti means his creative energy. Icha Shakti means his will, his desire. Jnana Shakti is knowledge potency. So there are many potencies, and they're summarized as Antaranga, Bahiranga, and Tatashta Shakti. So, and all of them are under his control. He's not controlled by his energies. Sometimes, of course, we're familiar in the West with conceptions of God as being an old man with a beard. And why is that? Because he's the oldest person, the original person, right? So if he's the oldest person, he must look old, have a beard, etc., isn't it? But this is a misconception because God, being the controller of all energies, as mentioned here, he also is the controller of eternal time. And therefore, he's not under the influence of time. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam, Adyam, Purana Purusham, Navayovanam Cha. He is non-dual, Advaitam, Achyuta, he never falls down. Anadi, he is beginningless. Anantarupam, he has unlimited forms, and his form is unlimited. Anantarupam, Adyam, he is the original. Purana Purusham, he is the oldest. Navayovanam cha, but he is always a fresh youth. This is the potency of God. He's not under the control of time. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto. He's not easily understood by study of the Vedas, but he is understood. How? Atma bhakto, by devotional service, surrender in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. And the supremacy of Lord Krishna over time is displayed in his pastimes. Perhaps you know. In also in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You're familiar perhaps with the first public Sankirtan that took place after Chankazi gave the order to forbid Sankirtan to be practiced in the area of Navadvip. So you remember what happened? Anybody?
Civil disobedience.
Yes. So Lord Chaitanya, he said, okay, we're going to do Sankirtan in every town and village in the Navadvip area. So I was reading this it's described briefly in the Chaitanya Charitamrita because It's elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments about this in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So I was wondering, because even the beginning of the Sankirtan, it's at night, because they're holding torches from the beginning. And then it said that they go to every single island on the way to Chankazi's house. How many islands are there?
9 islands.
9. And if you've been to the Mayapur Navadvip area, it's miles and miles away. You're talking about many, many miles traveling the Sankirtan before they get to Chankazi's house. And along the way, Lord Chaitanya goes into ecstasy and is sometimes he's falls on the ground and he's there for some time. So how is it that they can go through all the different islands of Navadvip and still have time to come to Chankazi's house and then have Lord Chaitanya have a long discussion with Chankazi? How's that possible? Any idea?
The Lord controls time.
Yes, he controls the time. So it says, Chaitanya Bhagavat says that the time elapsed was that of a kalpa during that Sankirtan. Now that's mind blowing, isn't it? To me, it's mind blowing. So that in this one area, Lord Krishna as Lord Chaitanya can control time, so they can go on for such a long time, that Sankirtan, even though the rest of the world is going on as is. That's very interesting. Anyway, so he's creating his own potencies, and he's controlling time. And another really very interesting point here is that he's controlling the fate of all living entities. And did you get this? So some people say that our destination and our life is already determined. That's called the idea of predestination. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
So if you look at this, just the fate of all living entities, it's already done, right? It's already taken place. So does that mean that you have any independence, any free will in your progress, whichever direction you're going, back to Godhead or back to this material world? It
They
says
seem
the
to be a
Lord
conflicting
creates
statement.
the fate of all living entities. So how do you make that? How do you understand that? He creates the fate of all living entities. And the word there is karma. You see that? Karma, the fate of the living entity.
I guess the fate is created, but we get to choose what fate it is. That's the only. Otherwise, it's conflicting in my mind too.
Yes. So if we look down in the purport a little bit, that what your statement is confirmed. So if you look down, can we move up in the purport? Yes, you see there. So the creation and annihilation of the material world is irregular, just to allow the conditioned souls to play and create their own fate. So, see, so in the verse it says he's creating the fate of the living entity. So how I understand it, but how does that jive with this? They're creating their own fate. He creates the framework for the fate of the living entity. And the living entity, we have our minute independence. And sometimes, well, it said, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjano bhavishyani chubutani mam tu veda nakashtana. Krishna knows everything that's happened that's going to happen in the past, that's happening present, and will happen in the future. So doesn't that kind of mean that he's he's already determined what's going to happen? What do you say? He knows what's going to happen already.
Well, knowing we still make the choice though of what, but just like he has created through Lord Brahma 8,400,000 types of bodies that the soul can inhibit. I mean, can inhabit, but we still, from our own actions, wind up in one of those bodies.
Yes.
Since he knows the
So
past, present, and future, he knows what's going to happen. That does not mean that
he
he's forcing people to go to that particular body.
very good, very good. So just because he knows what is going to happen, all that means is he gives us choice, and he's got an inkling about what choices we're going to make. But he's not forcing us to make this choice or that choice. Even you know, uh, dear Krishna Prabhu.
Go
Hare
ahead.
Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble wishes.
Yes.
Yeah, once I also heard that actually Krishna also knows um, out of choices what a living entity will end up choosing based on what we have done in the past. Just like we know a person, that no matter what we choices are available, what options are available, opportunities are available, we know seeing the history of a person what he will end up choosing.
Yes, and sometimes we're surprised.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes, but Krishna is never surprised. But
Yeah.
he wants everybody to come back. So Lord Chaitanya, he's coming to this Kali Yuga in Kali Yuga, and he is distributing his mercy, the mercy of the chanting of the holy names, of devotional service, of sadhu sangha, associating with devotees, and he's not even considering who is a fit and who's an unfit candidate. They're all he delivers to everybody, and some people take. Even unfit people sometimes take, like us, like me. That's how it happens. Yeah. So this is very, very interesting points made in this purport and verse. Then the verse also talks about he creates the function of each living entity, the function, the purpose of the living entity. What is their, where do they fit in? And this is a very important question. We all need to ask that question at some point in our lives. You know, the Vedic aphorism of Vedanta Sutra says, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Jigyasa means questions, and Brahma means God, or supreme, what is spirit, what is God. And a person is considered a perfect human being, or at least this level of a human being, if we ask the question, who is God? And the associated questions, which are also Srila Prabhupada also uh, includes in that initial question is, who am I? What is my purpose in life? Why am I here? What am I doing? What is my purpose? So in the material world, there are various philosophies that talk about how an individual determines their purpose in life. When I was in high school, it was a big deal, and I don't know, it may still be, that they would make us study the existential philosophers. Perhaps I don't know if they study those in India, but in the United States, they make a big deal about studying existential philosophies. And it's like Nietzsche, Camus, these people. So one of their postulates is that you have to make your own purpose, make your own reality. You formulate your reality any way you want, and that becomes reality. And in more or less, that's the way people work in the world, thinking I'm going to become my particular. I'll work at a particular job, have a particular friends and family, etc., and that becomes my purpose in life. Ignorant of the fact that there's already a purpose in life inherent by the Creator. When a company creates a machine, they make a pamphlet a manual to go along with it. So it says how you use this thing, how it works, and what all, you get a manual and you have the different parts, right? This is this part, this is that part, this is the cog, this is the base, this is all that stuff. So who knows about the purpose of each of the parts of the machine better than the creator? So the creator of all living entities, that's Krishna, God. And he gives us information about what our purpose, the purpose of this life is, especially the human form of life, where we can make these kinds of assessments. And what is that purpose? Brahma Jigyasa, to understand what is God and how we fit into the realm, the creation of God in a proper way. So Lord Chaitanya therefore prays, Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram, Patita Mam Vishame Bhavambudo, Kripaya Tavapada Pankaja, Stitaduli Sadrisham Vichintaya. We are one soul out of unlimited billions and billions of souls. So we are very, very, very tiny. Each one of us is insignificant. I am insignificant. All of you, compared to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we're tiny. And so Lord Chaitanya prays, giving us example. Ai Nanda Tanuja Kinkaram. Oh, son of Maharaj Nanda, Nanda Tanuja, son of Maharaj Nanda. Kinkaram. Kinkaram means I'm your servant. That's our function. Krishna is telling us that's our function. Mamevam sojiva, I'm your servant. Kinkaram, patitam. But even though I'm your servant, somehow, patitam, I've fallen. We're all struggling in this world of birth and death. Patita mam, vishame, bhavambudo. Bhavambudo means you're this ocean of birth, death, old age, and disease. Kripaya, please give me your mercy. Kripaya, tavapada pankaja, stitaduli sadrasham vichintaya. And fix me as just stitaduli means, Prabhupada translated as an atom. How big is an atom? Tiny infinitesimal, that's us. Or sometimes stitaduli means a speck of dust. Please fix me as a speck of dust at your lotus feet so I can continue engaging in devotional service. So that's the purpose of the human being, and our purpose in this material world. It's often described as a prison house. And in a prison house, the purpose of the inmates, everybody wants to see how you can get out, not how to make a nice arrangement to do your time in the material world, in the prison house, right? So it's an interesting point. There was a famous social psychological experiment. Did I discuss this once here before on this call? I don't know. It's called the Stanford Prison Experiment. Did I tell you this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Anyway, this was done in the 60s when things were a little kind of. So in Stanford University, during the summer break, they decided they were going to make an experiment to see how people reacted to being incarcerated and having roles as a prisoner or as a prison guard. So what they did was they advertised in the school newspaper or the local newspaper for volunteers. They'd pay them $100 a week to participate in this experiment, psychological experiment. So $100 at that time was probably, $500, $700 now. So they got a bunch of volunteers, all mostly students. And what they did was they refurbished the basement hallway of the psychology department to make it like all the rooms were like prison cells. And so people, when they volunteered, they were randomly assigned to either being prisoners or being guards. and they had certain rules and regulations. People who were the prisoners, they had to stay in their cells most of the time, except designated times. And the guards had to keep order and to make sure that the prisoners did what they were supposed to do. So you know what happened? Even though the two groups of people were exactly the same, they're just people from the same student group. One's designated guards, one designated prisoners. After a short time, the guards started to become very controlling of the prisoners. And there was some riots, so much they were treating them unfairly. And the prisoners rioted after like 3 days. They had to call off the experiment because it got out of hand. And when they studied it, they found that the prisoners, after just a short time, all they were discussing was their prison circumstances. They were discussing their life outside the prison. You follow? This is very interesting. So in this material world, that's what happens. We become obsessed with what's going on with our material lives and forget about the actual life in the spiritual world that's eternal and beyond this prison house of creation and destruction. Interesting point. Then one of the last point I'd like to make is in this verse, purport, there's this discussion here in the middle about the Mahatattva being a cloud. Did you get that? So a cloud in the sky, it's there sometimes and it's not there sometimes. Let's go up just a slight bit on the purple, the other way. Yeah. Okay. So so the creation and annihilation of the material world is a regular action of the Lord, just to allow the conditioned souls to pray as they like. Let's up. I'm sorry, a little. Yeah, let's go up a little further. Yeah, so further down in the yeah. Okay. The creation, therefore, takes place at a historical date, as we are accustomed to think of everything which has a beginning in our tiny experience. When was the historical date of the creation? When was the historical date of the creation?
When the creation is mentioned, Anadi, you don't have the start date.
Well, it says the creation, therefore, takes place at a historical date. It does take place at what? So when did the creation take place?
It
Brahma's.
coincides with Brahma's
Yeah.
day waking up.
Okay, so every day when Brahma gets up, that's his job, right? You get up and go to your job. He gets up and he does his job, which is creation. Every single day he has to create. And at the night, bhutva praliyate, every day he creates, and then at night everything is destroyed. So that the day, his day is 4,320,000,000 years, and we're about 50. He's in his early 50s, right? So
You're talking about the day, so
yeah. And here we're at 28 manus. So we're a little bit. How many manus in a day of Brahma?
14.
14 manus. Yeah, 14 manus in a day of Brahma, and we're in the current manu is Vaivasvata manu, and we're at the 28th Divya Yugas, where there's 71 of them. Yeah, so that's this particular day, right? Can we calculate the life of Brahma?
It's already known. Life Brahma is 311 trillion years, 40 billion years.
Okay, and so we're somewhere in the middle of that life, right?
Yeah, it's like halfway.
So then, if we
oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so the process of creation is called anadi, or without reference to date regarding the time of creation first took place, right? So on one hand, it says there's a historical date, and the other hand, it says we can't figure out what the historical date is. How do you make sense of that? You follow my question? On one hand, it says there's a historical date, Srila Prabhupada, And then the next thing he says, there's no, without reference to date regarding the time of creation. So how do you make sense of those two things?
There's the relative dates in terms of how things unfold in Lord Brahma's day. But when it actually started, that we don't know.
What do you mean? What actually started? What actually started?
Um, I would have to say the Mahatattva then.
Yes, we have to go. So we know, at least the Vedas say, when this particular Mahakalpa started, right? Lord Brahma has a certain age, but this is just the current breath of Mahavishnu. No, we don't know. We don't give information about how many breaths Mahavishnu has been taking, and we don't know when, we don't have information about that because there's many breaths of Mahavishnu, and each one there's a creation, and each one the Brahma comes, and each one he has so many days of Brahma. Each day is 4,300,000,000 years, 320 million years. So we don't have information about that bigger creation of, like, as Parikshit Prabhu said, the
And
creation of the whole Mahatattva, and when the thing started in the first place. That's anadi. We
yeah,
don't know. That's
and we're
out
never
of our
gonna
realm
know.
of understanding.
Yeah, exactly. We're never gonna know.
It's way beyond our. I mean, we can't
Does
even get this stuff down.
doesn't Lord Vishnu actually create time for
Yeah,
things to, yeah,
that
well
says in
then
this verse.
we
In this
here
verse, he
you go.
creates time.
You're lost then.
Time is one of his. In the material world, we talk about the Bhumira Pavlo Vayu, and also time is one of his energies, his Parasha Shaktis in the material world too. Dear Krishna
And
said, we don't even know how
we
to count
depend
our
on
breaths in this
time,
lifetime.
so
Yeah.
we depend
So
on time, but he has to create it, so and that's why we're lost in
so
terms of
what
knowing these things.
our interest is, we're discussing how these things work in the material world, but ultimately our interest is to get out of this material world and go back to Godhead. So we know how this world works. Vidyam cha vidyam chayas, tadvedo bhayam saha. Now, we can hang around in this material world and go through birth, death, old age, and disease forever if we want. Each time, suffering again and again in different species of life. Sometimes as Brahma, sometimes as an ant, just just following our karma. But now you and I have the opportunity to stop this long, unlimitedly long cycle of going through these different species of life forever and ever, and get back to a really wonderful, eternal place. Let's take that advantage of that. Chant the holy name, serve the devotees, and serve the Krishna and the spiritual master. That'll be wonderful for us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for a very, very insightful lecture and so many things we had to analyze. And you actually helped us through it so that we can understand about this material creation and how it functions. So, dear Buddhists, this is the time to unmute yourself to ask questions or add from your own understanding, to this
Reflections too,
connection.
yeah.
Yeah, to reflect on that's the right word. Yeah, as you like. Or you can talk about takeaways too, part of it that you like, that appeal to you more.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisance. All good to your Prabhupada. Prabhu, thank you so much for the concluding statement that you said, because my mind is so simple that, when it gets too analytical, I just get lost. But I was remembering a point that you mentioned in your lecture this morning, that even Krishna himself don't know, don't know him, so what does it make of us? So I said, okay, so that means that I don't have to understand and learn all this analysis. But as I was going along, I said, oh my God, I started thinking of Mother Kalini. And I said,
Yeah.
because Mother Clini is such a simple person. And I remember whenever we would sit in class and it gets too analytical, she should look at me and I said, Mother, I need help. She goes, I want to get out of the material world. So I always think of Mother Kalini when my mind says, okay, Anasuya, do you really get this concept? Because I think I need help to really understand it. But I'm so glad, Prabhu, that you mentioned at the end that the goal of life is how to get out and to really surrender, to take our Krishna consciousness seriously, to really, engage in service. And I think one of the points that you mentioned that was a very strong takeaway for me, actually a reminder, actually, is we can only know the Lord through seva. That was a very powerful point, Prabhu. Thank you for always reminding us about that. Hare Krishna.
Evolve.
Hare Krishna. I would like to take it from a different standpoint. That is, comparing what we know here or what we're learning here to religions, as other religions.
Yes.
This is what makes the numbers and the things and how it works, described here, makes this spiritual science rather than some emotional type of situation that the religions tell you. And that's what I actually appreciate about Krishna consciousness. There is that service, yes, but also the understanding that we are involved in spiritual science.
Very detailed.
Yes.
Very detailed and full. It's not just somebody does something and that happens. It's not like, but it's still magical. It's still wonderful. But the details are that you can really dig into those details. They're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
also, so much so that I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So much so we can even play with the numbers. I've done it quite a bit. That, for example, I know now that 1 second of Lord Brahma's time actually is equal to 100,000 years of our time, just by playing with the numbers. A second of Lord Brahma's time is 100,000 years, based on his 100 years and in the 311 trillion and then 40 billion years. You work down to what 1 second would be. You can get those answers like that. You can even work out percentages. It just makes you want to do some of that math. This is fun for us.
Yes, dear Krishna Prabhu says the detailed spiritual science is one of the greatest gifts of ISKCON. Yes. Srila Prabhupada was very enthusiastic to spread the science, and also in his preaching, especially starting 1972-73, he was really enthused by presenting Krishna consciousness in the scientific terms through the Bhaktivedanta Institute. Of course, he initiated it himself when he wrote the book Easy Journey to Other Planets, which is it's very scientifically minded for scientists, but also the preaching of the Bhaktivedanta Institute is wonderful preaching to combat the dull existent theories, atheistic theories of this world. There's another book, I don't know if you've seen it. Nitya Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah. I was thinking on the point, we cannot understand the Lord's creation of energy, how it works by the material consciousness eyes or the thought process. But when you put some things together, like Parikshit Prabhu said, so are we acting on the spiritual level or the material level?
What do you mean when you put things together? I'm not sure what you mean.
Like we can understand Lord, its creation and some of the things.
Yeah, we haven't done it by experimentation or figuring it out. We're accepting it in the disciplic succession here in Srimad Bhagavatam along with the purports, and then in order to understand it, we might have to elucidate it a little more. Just like we were talking, how on one hand it says that there's the living entity's fate is created, and then it says that they create their own fate. So how do we understand those things? So that's called philosophical speculation and not mental speculation. We have the philosophy of the truths there, but to understand it, to bring it home to our own consciousness and understand it in the right perspective, sometimes we need a little discussion, and that's spiritual. It's not material.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Prabhu.
Hmm. To me, it's a lot of fun
Philosophical perspective.
to get away from Christian religions and this and this. God is everywhere. How you know? Oh no, God is everywhere. But then if you come to crystal consciousness and says the Paramatma is in every single atom, well, you know the whole world, the whole creation is full of atoms. That's your answer. If he's in there, then he's everywhere. So,
And even though he's everywhere, alaksham sarva bhutanam antarbahiravastitam. Even though he's everywhere, nobody can see him. That's he's so amazing that he's everywhere and he's everything, but people don't see it. People don't see it. Only the devotees see it. Others don't see. That means he can trick everybody. He can hide better than anybody because he's everywhere, but people don't see. We don't see. We don't see. He's everywhere. Adhokshaja, Ajita. He can't be conquered. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any
Thank
other
you.
final questions? So, if not, then thank you for again inspiring not only a wonderful lecture, giving wonderful lecture, but inspiring discussions too among us to have even greater appreciation.
We have some fun. We have some fun.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah. Jai. All right,
Antakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Shiva Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu, for the very nice lecture. And thank you, devotees, for coming on to hear also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.